There are moments in life when someone walks away, not because you did something wrong, but because they couldn't handle closeness. You gave them love. You gave them time. But instead of embracing it, they pulled back. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're just enough for the right heart to stay. The truth is, avoidant people fear intimacy not because you're unworthy of love, but because they don't know how to hold it. So what do? You don't chase, you don't beg, you rise, you heal, grow, evolve, and become magnetic. Let them feel your absence is power. Let your silence speak louder than any text ever could. Let your glow remind them what they lost. You see, the way to make an avoidant miss you nonstop is to stop needing them at all. You step into your purpose. You build your life so strong they can't ignore it. You live in such a way that even if they're running, they can't run from the memory of you. And when they do remember, it won't be your pain they remember. It will be your strength, your joy, your peace. That's the version of you they'll crave. That's the version they'll miss again and again and again. Healing isn't always loud. In fact, the deepest kind of healing often happens in silence, behind closed doors, away from the eyes that once saw you break. When someone you care about pulls away, especially someone avoidant, there's this overwhelming temptation to perform your pain, to show them what they've done, to prove that they've hurt someone who truly cared. But real transformation, real growth, it doesn't come from proving. It comes from becoming. Heal loudly but quietly. What does that mean? It means you let your transformation speak for itself. You stop needing to announce your progress or post your healing in highlight reels. You shift your energy inward, where the real work happens. You cry if you need to. You journal. You pray. You rediscover your strength, not by shouting about your scars, but by rising every day with more self-respect than the day before. And the beautiful thing is, avoidants notice. Not immediately, not dramatically, but they do. You see, they've grown used to chaos. They expect confrontation, drama, emotional messes when things go wrong. But when you detach from that cycle and start moving differently, with calm, with self-control, with purpose, they feel the shift. It's unsettling, but also magnetic. Healing quietly doesn't mean hiding. It means owning your story without broadcasting every chapter. It means nourishing your soul in ways that don't need validation. When you stop bleeding in front of people who won't help you heal, you finally start attracting peace. Let go of the need to prove anything. Stop hoping they'll see your worth in your struggle. Instead, become so rooted in your own growth that whether they watch or not, you shine anyway. Whether they come back or not, you rise anyway. Whether they ever understand your love or not, you live in love anyway. Your quiet healing will echo. In time, in silence, in memory. They'll wonder where that broken version of you went. They'll remember the one who tried so hard. And they'll notice the version who no longer needs to. And that shift from needing them to simply being you is what makes them miss you. Because peace is powerful, stability is rare, wholeness is unforgettable. So yes, heal loudly, but do it quietly. And do it in a way that honors your soul, not to get them back, but to get yourself back. And when you do, your energy will shift in such a way that they won't just miss you. They'll miss the peace they never knew they needed until you stopped offering it. Confidence doesn't scream, it radiates. And when it comes to making an avoidant miss you, nothing is more powerful, more unforgettable than the quiet, steady glow of someone who's confident in who they are. You don't need to chase. You don't need to explain. You don't need to convince them that you were good enough. Because the moment you stop proving yourself, you begin to attract everything you once begged for. Avoidants often create distance, not because you're unworthy of love, but because they don't know how to receive it. They're used to walls, to space, to self-protection. So when you stop pouring all your energy into breaking down their walls and start building yourself, they feel that shift. And whether they admit it or not, they notice. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not pretending you don't care. It's knowing that even though it hurt, even though they mattered, you matter too. It's understanding that their retreat isn't a reflection of your lack, but a reflection of their limitations. And instead of drowning in self-doubt, you choose to rise in self-love. You start walking differently. Talking differently. You glow not because you want them to see it, but because it's who you've become. That kind of energy is magnetic, and avoidants who fear vulnerability but crave real connection feel it. They may not run toward it right away, but your calm, quiet confidence will stay in their memory far longer than any attempt to convince them ever could. When you stop proving your worth to someone, you show the world and yourself that your value is not up for debate. That's when you become irresistible, not because you're trying to be, but because you've stopped trying at all. You've let go of the outcome. You've surrendered the chase, and you've stepped fully into who you are. That's what makes someone miss you deeply. Not your pain, not your pleas, but your peace. Because in a world full of noise, emotional games, and people begging to be seen, your quiet strength will echo the loudest. It reminds them of the connection they once feared and now they long for. And even if they don't come back, you do. Stronger, freer, whole. Don't chase, replace. Replace what? Replace anxiety with clarity. Replace overthinking with grounded action. Replace your need for someone else with a deep connection to yourself. It's one of the hardest things to do when someone avoidant pulls away. Your heart races, your mind spirals, and everything inside you wants to fix, to explain, to reconnect. But that's not what changes anything. That's what keeps you trapped in their pattern. And the truth is, avoidants don't respond to pressure. They respond to presence. And the only way to create that presence is by pulling your energy inward. When you stop chasing someone who won't meet you halfway, you begin to shift your entire focus. You don't just sit and wait, you build. You replace the time you spent over-analyzing texts with time at the gym, on a walk, in prayer, in purpose. You replace their silence with music that moves you, friends who see you, and goals that ignite your fire again. The beautiful part is that while you're doing all this not for them, but for you, your energy changes. You start walking like someone who remembers who they are. You speak differently, breathe differently, glow differently. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to say, look at me now. They'll feel it. The version of you who once waited by the phone, replaced by someone who's already too busy living. This doesn't mean you forget them overnight. It means you refuse to abandon yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. And when you take all that love you once gave away too freely and start pouring it back into your own life, that's when things change. Avoidants often don't realize what they've lost until the energy is gone, until your validation is no longer a guarantee, until your presence is no longer a given. And they don't miss the chaos. They miss the calm, the support, the love that came without strings. But now that love has boundaries, that love has standards, and that is what makes it irresistible. So don't chase, don't prove, don't panic, replace. Let the pain fuel your transformation. Let the distance build your discipline. Let the silence remind you to listen to your own voice again. Because at the end of the day, it's not about making them feel your absence out of revenge. It's about reclaiming your presence and making it so full, so powerful, that they can't help but remember the person who no longer needs to be remembered. Live so loud they feel your absence. That doesn't mean shouting. It doesn't mean proving anything to anyone. It means living with so much purpose, joy, and alignment that your life becomes a statement even in silence. When someone with an avoidant attachment style walks away, they often expect you to shrink, to sit in the shadows of their absence. But what if instead you rise? What if you choose not to wait, but to expand? Fill your days with things that light your soul on fire. Wake up and move your body not to get a response from them, but because you love how it makes you feel. Surround yourself with people who don't make you question your worth. Build routines, habits, dreams that are so fulfilling, you no longer have time to wonder whether they'll return. Avoidants don't just miss your voice or your face, they miss your energy. And when your energy shifts, when you become someone who is full of life again, they can't unfeel that difference. They scroll past your pictures or think of your name and something stirs in them. Not because you're flaunting anything, but because you've stopped living small. Living loudly isn't about being dramatic or performative. It's about occupying your own life fully. It's about filling the space they left with growth, peace, confidence, and letting that space become sacred, not empty. This is what creates lasting presence in someone's memory. You go to places that inspire you, learn things that challenge you, and do things that nourish you. You rebuild your identity from the inside out, and your joy, your peace, your aliveness becomes the echo that lingers in their mind. Long after the last message, long after the silence, they expected the old version of you, the one who waited, hoped, bent just to be noticed. But you're not that person anymore. You've outgrown that space. You've upgraded your self-worth. And now they're not just missing you, they're missing access to the light you no longer dim for anyone. Live so fully that even your silence has a voice. Live so boldly that even your absence has a heartbeat. And when they look back, they won't just see who you were. They'll feel everything you've become and realize just how much they lost. Be unforgettable without trying. That's the secret, not to force your way into someone's mind, but to become so grounded, so whole, that your energy lingers naturally. You don't need to remind them of your worth. You are the reminder just by how you carry yourself now. Avoidants are often drawn to familiarity, emotional space, control, and the absence of pressure. But what they don't realize until it's too late is how rare it is to find someone who loved them without conditions, without chaos, without neediness. And when you stop trying to be seen, when you no longer seek closure or validation, you create space for memory to do the work. They won't miss the words, they'll miss the feeling. They'll miss the calm they felt around you, the way you listened, the way you stayed soft in a hard world. But they'll also feel the change. That softness now has strength behind it. That heart now has boundaries. That love still exists, but it's no longer free for those who don't honor it. And it's in that shift, subtle, sacred, that you become unforgettable. You no longer chase, you no longer explain, you simply live, you laugh more, you glow from the inside. Your silence becomes intriguing, your joy becomes inspiring, and your peace becomes magnetic. It's not about pretending, it's not about games, it's about evolution. Quiet, graceful, unstoppable evolution. You become the kind of person they compare others to. The kind they think about when it's late and their phone is quiet. The kind who showed up with love and walked away with dignity. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. That's what stays with them. Not the messages you sent, not the tears you cried, but the way you rose when they weren't looking. The way you let go when they thought you'd hold on forever. The way your presence became a memory they can't replace. So stop trying to be unforgettable. Just become so true to yourself that they never forget who you are. When someone avoidant pulls away, the natural instinct is to do more, to reach out, explain yourself, prove your worth one more time. But the true shift happens when you do the opposite. When you stop chasing and start choosing yourself, you flip the script. Not out of bitterness, not to manipulate, but because you finally understand something crucial. Your value doesn't decrease when someone is too afraid to hold it. And once you internalize that truth, everything begins to change, not just in how they see you, but in how you see yourself. This journey isn't about making someone miss you through tactics or games. It's about becoming someone who's deeply connected to their own worth, someone who no longer needs external validation to feel seen. You stop trying to earn love from someone who fears it, and instead you give that love to yourself consistently, boldly, and without apology. That's what makes your absence unforgettable. That's what makes your energy impossible to replace. When you heal quietly and grow steadily, you create a ripple effect. People feel it even if they never say a word. And as you walk forward, you realize you never actually lost anything by letting go. You gain clarity. You gained your voice back. You gain time, energy, and emotional space to build a life that reflects your higher self. That's the kind of life people feel drawn to, not because it begs for attention, but because it shines effortlessly. That's how you stop being someone's option and start becoming their standard. You no longer wait in the dark. You light your own path, and the light becomes too bright to ignore. Avoidants miss you most when you stop trying to be missed. When you no longer orbit around their fears, but root yourself in your peace. When your focus shifts from will they come back to how far can I go? And that shift, it makes you powerful. You begin to live for you, not for them. And ironically, that's when they feel your absence the most, because now they're chasing a ghost of the person they took for granted, and the version of you they remember no longer exists. So in the end, this was never really about them. It was about you, about rising from rejection with grace, about building self-worth from the inside out, about choosing evolution over explanation. Because the moment you stop needing someone to see your value is the moment they finally do. But by then, you'll be too full of purpose, too deeply rooted in peace, and too focused on your future to ever shrink again. And that version of you, that's the one they'll miss nonstop. Thank you for taking the time to walk this journey with me today. I know that healing from emotional distance, especially with someone you deeply cared about, isn't easy. But your willingness to reflect, grow, and rise above the pain shows a strength most people never find. Remember, your worth isn't tied to who stays or who walks away. It's anchored in the way you choose to rise, love, and live, even in silence. If you're on the path of healing, keep going. If you're in the middle of the storm, hold on. And if you've just started to rediscover yourself, welcome home. This is where your power begins, not where it ends. Trust that your presence will be felt, your energy will be remembered, and your peace will always echo louder than your pain. Take care of your heart, stand tall in your truth, and never forget you don't need to prove